Hello everybody, today I want to talk about burning reaction in the upcoming Genshin 3.0 patch. A important disclaimer before we start is that of course this entire video is based on leaked information, and so you should take the video with a grain of salt. Treat the video more like a science hypothesis rather than the actual conclusion or results. And of course when the actual 3.0 drop, you can test some of these things out, test some of these theory out to confirm or deny our initial assumption. With that being said, let's get started. However, as always before we start, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to the channel, as well as follow on Twitch on twitch.tv/Tenten games, and let's get started. Dendro occur when you apply dendro and pyro to the same enemy. In this case, the order of operation doesn't matter. It's just like freeze. Once you have dendro and pyro on the same enemy, you trigger a brand new status aura known as the burning aura. It's pretty much exactly like freeze, where the burning status is its own aura and is separated from pyro and dendro. When an enemy has pyro status applied to them, they'll take damage every 0.25 seconds. However, most importantly is that they will apply strong pyro in a small AoE area around them every 0.25 seconds as well. That is 2 units of pyro. Alright, hold on. Originally when I was making this video, burning was applying 2 units worth of pyro or strong pyro. However, sometimes after, apparently, rumor has it that currently MiHoYo changed it to 1 unit and nerfed it instead. Now that's a really big problem, aside from the fact that the video is now outdated, and that is 1 unit worth of pyro on burning is going to be completely worthless because you can't really trigger reaction of it. You can trigger reaction, but if you happen to trigger 2 reaction in the same tick, you extinguish the burning and you would no longer apply pyro afterward. And that is a problem because, well, every single thing that burning is going to be useful for is gonna be worthless. I just really can't see MiHoYo actually making that change because of that reason, and so we're gonna proceed the video assuming that it's applied 2 units worth of strong pyro. But that is one of the huge reasons why you should always take video containing leak with a huge grain of salt, because at any point MiHoYo can just screw us over and, well, make it worthless, just like Beidou and Raiden. With that being said, let's continue to the original video. Now the damage calculation for burning is gonna be based on whoever applied it pyro or dendro last, aka whichever character is triggered, and the damage is like a transformation reaction and is scaled purely off the character's level as well as their elemental mastery. For the most part, I think burning damage is not going to be the main focus, but rather the pyro application, as the pyro application is really strong. Similar to how electric charge, while it does nice damage, the main focus of electric charge is going to be the fact that you can have hydro and electro coexist. So let's talk about the pyro application of burning status. In order to refresh your burning status, you have to reapply a pyro and dendro on the same enemy. Now luckily for you is that burning already apply pyro in a small AoE area. So what that really means is that if you can consistently apply dendro, then you can sustain the burning really well. Most importantly though, make sure you don't apply any hydro, because any hydro application will wipe the burning status and you have to reignite the fire from step 1. It is possible for burning aura and dendro to coexist at the same time, but a burning enemy will rapidly drain away any dendro aura on the enemy. So you have to make sure you consistently apply a brand new application of dendro to sustain your burning. However, most importantly is that it will be possible to do a multi-aura reaction with dendro and burning at the same time. For example, if you happen to apply strong hydro on like the same frame or very shortly after you apply dendro, then you can actually trigger vaporize and bloom at the same time. The most useful application when it comes to burning is of course going to be for its pyro application every 0.25 seconds, and it will allow you to maintain a nice pyro aura on the enemy to further trigger reaction on top. At the current moment, the only real way to sustain a pyro aura is through either Xiangling, who can deploy off field and apply power very rapidly, or you can do a Bennett Jean combo to do the Sunfire combo. With the introduction of burning in Genshin Impact, you can now sustain a really strong pyro aura using a off-field dendro characters and any pyro applicator as a fire starter. As long as you can sustain that dendro off-field application, you can maintain a pyro aura on the enemy very easily. So that means that we're switching away from a off-field pyro applicator like Xiangling to a dendro off-field applicator like Holly or Dendro Traveler. Of course, it will depend on if the dendro character itself is actually good, but it does open up a lot more options for us in the future. This could be a completely brand new game changer for any team that currently rely on a pyro aura, such as Mel Ganyu or reverse Mel team with Rosaria and Kaya. Since instead of using something like Bennett Xiangling to sustain your pyro aura, you can now use any pyro characters, even Amber as your lighter, and then any dendro sustainer to do your pyro aura instead. And again, depending on the new character that we'll be getting in the futures, this might open up a lot more new options. For example, if we ever get a ranged dendro applicator, then it might be possible for us to do a Melganyu team fully from the distance. One of the current weakness of Melganyu is that we have to be in melee range, which makes Ganyu really squishy since he has to charge her charge attack up. But if we can fully do everything from range, including applying your pyro from a range, like using Yanfei or Klee or Amber, and then applying your dendro from a range, which trigger burning, which then get you a really nice power aura on the enemy, then you can melt Ganyu from a range distance, which could be a game changer for any Melganyu player out there. I think one of the biggest potential with the burning Melganyu is that you'll be also able to cast your elemental burst as well. To be honest, right now casting elemental burst on Melganyu is technically advantageous if you're facing multi-target, since her elemental burst has such high range as well as it hit a lot of enemy at once. But for the most part, Melganyu players tend to not cast their elemental burst because it could screw up their melts on the charge attack, which is understandable. With 2 units of pyro applying every 0.25 seconds because of the ICD on her elemental burst, there's actually pretty high potential that you can use her elemental burst as well as her charge attack, since it will take 4 cryo reaction to wipe out the burning, and the charge attack is 2, and then the elemental burst if you hit the same frame as another one, so it only gets up to 3. So you can actually cast your elemental burst and do charge attack or melt at the same time, which also gives you the 20% crowd damage bonus from your A4 passive on top of melting your elemental burst damage. So this will be a really massive buff to Melganyu. Of course, the question is it worth losing Banish Channeling damage? And of course, it will come down to how good is the dendro characters, which unfortunately we do not know yet. You can potentially make a similar argument for this traditional reverse melt team, where instead of using Banish Channeling as your pyro aura, you now use a dendro applicator plus any pyro fire starter to light up your burning as your method of getting a pyro aura. Now, it'll be very hard for me to say if that's going to be better for this team, since 1, we don't really know how strong dendro character individually will be, but 2, we do know that Banish Channeling is really strong, and this team doesn't really have an issue with distance or just putting Bennett on field, since all of these characters are very deployable and they require you to be in melee range anyway. So putting Bennett on field here allow you to get a really strong and nice power aura, especially if you have C6 activated, since it will infuse Bennett normal attack with pyro, so you can apply a lot of pyro through it this way anyway. Plus on field Bennett just really strong. So it'll be really hard to say if dendro plus pyro is going to be worth it as a pyro applicator for this team, since once again we don't know how strong dendro character is at the current moment, and of course Bennett is one of the strongest character in the game, but it is a potential replacement for the future. A different type of team that could really appreciate the pyro application from burning would be something like a overload team, maybe like an overload Lisa that focus on triggering overload. Since right now overload Lisa is not very a meta play styles, you mostly do a pyro infused Venti elemental burst, and then you do Lisa's normal attack to trigger a bunch of overload with her electro application. And this team, while it does work, is just not very meta heavy for a lot of different reasons. With the introduction of dendro, you can do a, again, dendro applicator plus any pyro fire starter to trigger a pyro aura, and then you can overload with any electro characters like, again, Lisa, maybe even Yai Miko. I think overload as a reaction is severely underestimated in terms of how much damage it can actually do. I think because of the original 1.0 patch, overload kind of sucked it since it didn't do that much damage, plus it knocked enemy away. Most people probably think overload is pretty bad, but after the 1.6 buff to transformative reaction, plus the fact that we're seeing a lot more heavy enemy in the abyss right now, I think overload spam team could actually have a decent potential in the futures, depending on if we're gonna get more heavy enemy in Samara or whatsoever. One of the reasons why this team could be really solid is because of the possibility to also trigger Quicken in this team using just your dendro and your electro characters. With an electro and dendro application, you can trigger Quicken, and then your subsequent electro application can do aggravate damage, which also happens to scale of elemental mastery. So there is the potential to trigger overload and aggravate at the exact same time, which means you get huge value of elemental mastery, and it is possible for burning aura and Quicken aura to coexist. In terms of how practical it will be, like how can you sustain 2 aura at the same time, we'll have to wait until 3.0 drop to do more testing, but it is something to keep a lookout for. Unfortunately, burning aura will not really be suitable to enable hydro characters, since any hydro application is going to wipe the burning status of the enemy, so unfortunately no charge attack Marba for dendro 3.0. Now with such strong pyro application, one might also be wondering if burning is going to be useful suitable for breaking Elemental Shield in Genshin Impact, but unfortunately burning is not really going to be suitable for breaking Elemental Shield, since it is going to be not possible to apply burning status on the enemy, since the Elemental Shield by default come with an element. And so if you try to apply either dendro or pyro onto that enemy, it will automatically do a reaction, and therefore you will not be able to get burning off, since you can't get dendro and pyro at the same time. Now of course some of you might be wondering, what about cryo shield, since cryo doesn't react with dendro? So yes, it will be possible to get dendro sustained on a cryo shield enemy, and you'll have dendro and cryo coexist at the same time. However, even then, if you try to apply a pyro application on top, based on how multi-aura reaction work, the pyro will go and actually only interact with the cryo component and do a melt, and will not interact with the dendro component and do a burning. So even on a cryo shielded enemy, it is most likely still not going to be possible to trigger burning. And of course you can't swirl burning to transfer to a different enemy as well, since dendro is not swirlable. And overall, therefore, burning is not going to be useful at all in terms of taking down Elemental Shield in Genshin Impact, unfortunately. As we approach the end of the video, I want to once again remind everyone to take the video with a giant grain of salt, because not only it is based on leaked data which could change, or I simply could just be making mistake about how burning work and therefore be wrong on some of the part in the video. Surprisingly, burning is actually a really complicated reaction in terms of the theory behind it, and probably is the most complicated reaction we have in Genshin Impact by far in terms of its actual elemental gauge theory. But with that being said though, I think burning is going to open up some brand new door for overload team, aggravate overload team, or even just reverse melt team. At the end of the day, it really comes down to how good is the dendro characters aside from just applying its dendro application. And so there is still a lot for us to discover when the 3.0 Sumeru patch eventually drop. But with that being said, as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll definitely make a follow-up video when Sumeru does drop and we're able to test out some of these hypotheses. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.